So, Bosch has came out and made so Contrapoints recently have came out to make a statement on Israel versus Palestine. She basically condemns leftists who are anti-Semitic, and she says that she completely empathizes Jewish people who feel like they're threatened. She comes out as pro-Palestinian, but at the same time she condemns her own side. Oh no, okay. Some people might say that it was a statement that wasn't extreme enough or didn't stand on much ground. In my opinion, it's a very clear stance, and I think that it is good for her to make a statement like this, and it was a pretty good statement. Okay, I actually think so. I actually do think that ContraPoints made a pretty good statement. Otherwise, Vash, okay, Vash, horse lolly guy, okay, said you didn't have to post this in response to ContraPoints, okay? Now, you might be wondering, why is Vash so hostile against ContraPoints? Well, you have to know the ContraPoints of Vash Bridge have burned a long, long time ago, okay? At some point, ContraPoints basically called out Vash on his sexism, in which, by the way, yes, he is sexist, okay? So, they burned the bridge a long time ago, so it's easier, like, to say, yeah, ContraPoints sucks. I already have some kind of opinion against her, you know? But at the same time, yeah, Vash is very pro-Palestinian. He thinks what's happening there is a genocide. He's very anti-IDF, blah, 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 you know, all the typical lefty shit, right? So, yeah, let's take a look.
Contra drama? Dude, I don't want to. It's so bad. It's so bad. Everyone's already dunking on her and they're all already right. Big Joel's thread is the best critique. Okay, I haven't seen Big Joel posting. I haven't seen what he's been saying. What has he been saying? It's on Blue Sky? Oh my god. Of course he would. Contrapoints recently made a statement on Palestine. I find this point most interesting. That was really the only outcome of the outrage. Nothing plus slightly hurting Kamala Harris. Change perspectives. Things just to do. Don't have an axe to grind with Natalie. Good job reading. It's just so dumb. The problem fundamentally is that Contra, I don't think, has a good temperament for the social demands of being an online public figure who discusses politics. That doesn't mean that the videos are bad or whatever. They're not. It just means that, like, you get a lot of backlash. You get a lot of hate. And I think that, you know, it's like a weakness of heart, weakness of mind kind of thing. If you're put into positions where you feel like you're very emotionally pressured, that can cook your brain a little bit. That can push you in a bad direction. I'm not clued in. She put out this like rambling narcissistic post about how she's anti-genocide in Gaza, but the reason she hasn't talked about it is because
a rambling narcissistic post is crazy. From what I've read of ContraPoints, it is a concise post detailing out exactly with like bullet points on why she has a problem with the way that leftists are acting in terms of IVP. So I don't know why the fuck Vash is already like poisoning the well. This is the problem with Vash, okay? I don't think he'll ever get rid of like the part of himself that is like super poisoning the well, right? Like he's already like hardcore poisoning the well. It is pathetic. Like, you know,
because it's depressing and glib, and she feels like the left hasn't done anything productive by bringing attention to it, and it's the left's fault and the left's problem, and blah, blah, blah. I'll just... So many leftists feel betrayed because I haven't made a video on Palestine. Do they actually want a ContraPoints video about Palestine? Will they be happy if I get in the bath and pour milk on a mannequin of Benjamin Netanyahu? No. I have posted about Gaza occasionally and have quietly given money to Palestinian aid orgs. But what I think what leftists really want is for me to join their chorus of anger.
I love
They sense some hesitation on my part and are judging me very harshly on my presumed opinions. I'd rather be judged on my actual opinions, so here they are. Is Israel committing genocide in Gaza? Yes. Do I oppose it? Yes. Do I feel angry about it? Yes. I also feel a lot of other things. Chapter 1, Doom. The week after October 7th, it was clear the mood among Israeli leaders and civilians was overwhelmingly kill or be killed, existential panic, and unstoppable lust for revenge. It reminded me of the U.S. after 9/11. There was no reasoning or protesting them out of it. Nor was it politically feasible for the U.S. to withdraw aid to Israel on a time frame that would make a difference. Man, it's been like 2 years now. It would have required replacing most of Congress and overturning decades of bipartisan strategy and diplomacy. Even in the best case scenario, it would have taken years. So there was a sense of futility. But worse, Chapter 2, Misery. What? Oh, the misery. The leftist pro-Palestine movement quickly decided that their primary goal was not
Stop.
merely opposition to the genocide, but opposition to Zionism in general. That is, opposition to the existence of Israel as a Jewish state. And here they decided to draw the line separating decent people from genocidal fascists, which had the following consequences. It shrunk the coalition. Zionist is a very broad category. Most Jews are Zionists. Anyone who supports a two-state solution is a Zionist. Mabdani, why wouldn't you visit Israel after becoming mayor of New York City? Oh, I don't have to debunk this, do I? Anyone who watches me understands why this is really bad. What she's saying is like arguing against the Holocaust without arguing against Nazis. Well, it's like arguing against the Holocaust without arguing against Lebensraum, right? The genocide in Gaza
Oh
is a
boy.
direct product of Zionism. Zionism is the reason why they were in an open-air concentration camp. It's the reason Hamas exists.
Dude, this video is gonna drive me crazy. Vash is actually gonna drive me. I'm trying to be quiet right now because my door is wide open because I want to cool off the room. So then, like, I don't have to turn on the AC. All right. But Vash is driving me up the wall right now. Holy shit.
It's
I'm
the
so
reason there
triggered.
are walls with
I'm
automated
so
turrets that
triggered.
shoot people when they come
I'm
near.
triggered.
It's the reason why in the West Bank there are roads that only Jews can use. It's Zionism is the reason for all of this. Like the Holocaust didn't happen because the people in Germany, the Nazis, said, well, we should just do one, right? It was the consequence of an underlying ideology that demanded the eradication of other groups as a way of expressing the supremacy of their own. Do you think supporting a two-state solution is Zionism? If so, there's a difference. So unfortunately, she's providing really bad analysis. The people who I know who have advocated for a two-state solution have done so as a way of addressing the immediate harm of Gaza being essentially like an occupied sub-territory of Israel, not a long-term goal. Because obviously, if you implemented a two-state solution, you would then still have a Jewish ethnos.
Wait, so he's pro one state solution? Is that what I'm getting at here? So he's like pro like Palestinian state only? No Israel? Hmm, that's kind of unhinged, to say the least.
State. Like that wouldn't change the fact that Israel, say in the West Bank or however you drew the lines, right? Israel would still be in law Jewish supremacist. Like the term a Jewish state is a dog whistle, right? Like when white
What?
supremacists say they want America to be a white country, America is already plurality white. What they mean by that, obviously, is an ethno state. Like
Dude, okay, even if you're opposed to ethno-states in of itself, right? Like, let's just say you're opposed to ethno-states in of itself, all right? And for the record, I don't even know if I want to define, like, Israel as, like, a strictly an ethno-state because it has hundreds of thousands of Palestinians living in it, okay? So, like, that in of itself is already, like, kind of fake, okay? But the thing is that you can't just say, like, in a world where you have all of these ethno-states already existing, where you have, like, Iran, which has, like, the Islamic Revolution, you have China, which wants to keep its Han Chinese status, and but then you don't want Jews to have their own fucking state. That's kind of weird, dude. It's like why is it that you only have a problem with the Jews? Like why don't you ever have an issue with any other countries having their ethno state? It's kind of crazy, right? Also, like the problem with like the one state or two state solution like question is that it's stupid and retarded. It's an easy way for people to make themselves sound smart on the issue that they know nothing about. When in actuality, an actual smart answer would be, okay, what are the next best steps to take to improving the living conditions for everyone without causing much conflict? What leaders should we appoint to various parties so then we are able to get the outcomes that we want? How do we get the colonizers out of the West Bank if we have to, right? There's like many better like answers and questions that you could be asking or answering or something. But like but I feel like left wingers like Vosh, like even I mean he's not as extreme as Bad Epinata, I'm sure, but like even then he seems I don't know, fucking unhinged, right? Like he said that Contrapoints was egotistical, narcissistic. Sorry, not egotistical, narcissistic. But this isn't exactly surprising from the guy who says that he would bend over a female congresswoman and fuck her in the ass because she voted on a bill that he didn't like or something. I don't know, man.
Duh. If a member of the AfD says they want Germany to remain a German state, like, let's not be stupid, you know what they mean. Even if they don't mean only like ethnic German people would be there, what they're talking about is a legal and social prioritization of those groups.
Duh.
Obviously, this is untenable.
Foodshops to Steelman, I say Vash does, but Israel is one, more explicit about it, and two, supported by the West. What? Like he supports a Jewish state? I don't think he supports a Jewish state. I just don't think so. I don't think that Steelman works because Vaush. I don't think Vaush even like supports like the idea of a Jewish state.
I don't think ethno-state should exist at all. But at the very least, a two-state solution would take the pressure off, right? It would, in the immediate.
The real kill shot would be to ask Vash as a consequentialist how the Israel is being an ethno state is harming their Palestinian citizens more. Yeah, I mean they can't vote. Sure, I agree with that, and that's a problem. But at the same time, it's like, what are we talking about here, right? Fuck.
Sense, free the Palestinians from being completely subjugated to Israeli power.
Aren't most states to some extent ethno states? Yeah, kind of. Yes, like most. Yeah, kind of.
So
Not really. I don't know about that. It really depends.
if a person believes in a two,
Would you say an ethno state is like a place where it enforces it, or do you think they just simply passively allow it? If you say if I think it tries to enforce it, then maybe okay, hold on. Then yes, I agree with you, Benadryl. Okay, so most states are not ethno states, as in most states do not enforce a racial quota. If you enforce a racial quota, then it's an ethno state. Okay. For example, you can argue that China is the ethno state for like purging all other races, except for Han
state
Chinese.
solution as an immediate harm reduction thing, I don't think that's
probably
Zionist.
Make that
If a person believes in a two-state solution as a long-term goal in which Israel remains a Jewish ethno-state, that would be a problem. And I think that that political dynamic would still produce things like this genocide, because you would still have a highly militarized supremacist Jewish state right next to the new Palestinian state with US weapons, with far-right backing, you know, like you get the point? It was politically infeasible. What is the pathway that takes us from the present situation to the dissolution of Israel as a Jewish state? I mean, withholding support, that would be a good start, I guess. Like maybe it would be more difficult for Israel to remain an ethno-state if they weren't backed by the most powerful country in the world who just agrees with everything they do and supports them. Like some kind of actual line in the sand rather than what Biden did, which was multiple red lines that he would lie about, and then when Israel did like cross those red lines, nothing would happen. That would, I mean, it would be a good start, right? Some kind of meaningful political opposition. I don't see how this could happen without either a total internal collapse of Israeli society or else, you know, nuclear war. I wouldn't mind a total internal collapse of Israeli society. They're currently doing a genocide. I don't know. Feel like there are worse things. Like if a country is doing like, listen, okay,
you know, you also fuck over all the Palestinians living in Israel if you want like a total internal collapse of Israel. Like fuck me, dude.
Supported the UN intervention into Serbia, the bombing that we did of Serbia, and what Serbia was doing to the Albanians was nothing even remotely close to what Israel is doing to the Palestinians. So my line for when should UN warplanes drop, or NATO, sorry, not UN, NATO, when should NATO warplanes drop bombs to pacify the aggressors is clearly way the lower than what Israel is doing right now. I don't know how the fuck you can support NATO intervention in Serbia but not support intervention into Israel. I think the UN should occupy Israel. Get some blue helmets down there for.
But because NATO is about Russia and the former USSR states. What are you talking about here? Because NATO's job is to make sure Russia doesn't keep encroaching. How is NATO's How is it NATO's job to enforce something in the fucking Middle East? What? What are you talking about?
For 100 years, for all I care. Jesus. And stop giving them weapons. Stop giving Israel more weapons. Jesus. And then there's this wonderful line. As usual, leftists have championed a doomed cause. That's really cool. Don't support
True.
desegregation because it's not
Except
immediately
that's true.
feasible. Don't support an end to the Vietnam War.
I mean, is that not true? Championing like Malcolm X? Like, would you say Malcolm X is like successful, or do you think like Martin Luther King was more successful? Like, fuck, like, yeah, yeah, it is kind of a doom cause. I wonder what Winter has to say about this.
Because it's not immediately feasible. Don't support an end to the Iraq War because it's not immediately feasible. This is just you territory. This is like unsalvageable. It always at the end of the day,
Jesus.
people, weaker people than me, I should say, always circle back around to directing their hate and orienting their politics around aggression towards people that they dislike. And the group of people that have given Contra the most shit for previous Liberty have been leftists.
What says Vaush? I mean, what's to stop me? What's to stop me from saying something like, well, you and Contra burned bridges, and that's why you're acting like this. Like seriously, what's to stop me from saying something like this?
So it comes back around to that. Anyway, yeah, this logically doesn't work. Like armchair
what?
psychoanalysis aside, this just logically doesn't work. Basically, every progressive cause starts out as or more doomed than opposition to Israel today. Everything from gay marriage to Contra support for trans people. Like right now, trans rights are looking pretty bleak in the West. Do I waver?
Dude, forget about trans rights. What about democracy? What? Like, if you really want to choose a cause to go after, okay? I'm sorry that trans people are, you know, like getting stopped or killed or whatever the fuck, okay? Or their healthcare is being denied or whatever. Like, I'm sorry, okay? But right now, like, immigrants are being rounded up. I don't think the focus should be trans people. What the fuck? Immigrants are being rounded up. Fuck.
No. I think we should put our foot down and hold firm on all of it, including, you know, participation in sports. I'm consistent. If every progressive acted the way you're recommending leftists act with Palestine consistently on every issue, nothing would ever get done. Also, right now, American support for Israel is lower than America's opposition to MLK. Or I guess what I should say is opposition to Israel is a more popular position than support for MLK during much of the civil rights movement. It introduced dangerous ambiguities. The vagueness of Zionism as a political Satan enables all kinds of rhetorical abuses. On one hand, right-wing Israelis hold up all anti-Zionist protests as existentially threatening and inherently anti-Semitic. On the other...
By the way, MLK is pro-Israel. But you'll never see right-wingers, left-wingers say this, okay? MLK was pro-Israel. Not only was MLK pro-Israel, okay, but Mandela was also pro-Israel, okay? In case you need a reminder, okay? But these people, like, don't want to bring that kind of stuff up, okay?
On the other hand, there was a long history of anti-Semites using the term Zionist in deliberately equivocal ways. Yeah, sure, I don't really know what that has to do with the genocide, though. Like, there are some people who do that, and it's bad, and they should be called out. I don't really... Like, people will dog whistle to take an existing cause and manipulate it to serve their bigotry. Yeah, sure, I don't really see what that has to do with the underlying point. Anti-Semites are happy for the opportunity to misappropriate the now popular anti-Zionist label to legitimize their agenda, and many people are not informed enough about anti-Semitism to recognize when this is actually happening. These problems are mutually reinforcing. Ah, but there's a difference. See, it is the Zionists themselves who disingenuously conflate Zionism and Semitism, whereas it's the opportunist Nazis who jump on the back of anti-Zionist.
I'll say this again, okay? This argument, it is easily countered, okay? Easily. Like, for example, I could talk about hoodlums, savages, and thugs all day and never mention black people once. But then you would know that I'm talking about black people. So why can't we apply that for, like, Zionist and Jewish people? Like, hello?
Protests to take advantage of the rhetorical ambiguity that is being created by the Zionists, by the way, and weaponize it in the service of their own ends. Or in other words, the Zionists are doing the bad thing. Whereas with regard to anti-Zionism, it's another group that's trying to co-opt the language. What exactly are we meant to do about that? Or to put it another way, how could you ever criticize Israel without anti-Semites trying to take advantage of it? I mean that. I think that you should do everything you can to excise them from your movement, to make it clear what you mean, to be precise in your definitions. But how on earth could you do that? Zionists put so much effort into conflating Judaism and Israel. Like it's like their main thing. They shield themselves with it. So as a consequence, they make it very easy for Nazi.
Because most Jewish people are Zionists? What's Vash's political affinity? He seems like an anarchist or even libertarian socialist. He calls himself a libertarian socialist. He calls himself a democratic socialist, I think. And he says that ideally he's an anarchist or something. Even a permissive attitude towards war crime isn't really intent because that exists in plenty of wars without genocide. Okay, I don't know what you're supposed to be talking about. MLK's non-violent negotiation worked ultimately because of the potential violence and not doing so. I don't know. That's the argument a lot of people use to justify Malcolm X's actions, which is, I mean, if you ever watched like Lonerbox's video on Malcolm X was a cringe lord lefty. Okay.
He's an anti-Semites to to take advantage of the rhetorical ambiguity. But what is the left meant to do about that, apart from being responsible when possible? It is, after all, like often young progressive Jewish people who are at the forefront of these anti-Zionist marches, like Jewish Voice for Peace, advocates against this.
Wait, okay, isn't that like a psyop? Jewish Voices for Peace? Or am I wrong about that? I thought that was a psyop.
This old colonial ethno-state project. Chapter 3, Dread. The online left.
Does Vash support NATO expansion? So unlike other lefties, Vash does have kind of a separate opinion on NATO. I think Vash is like a pro-NATO lefty. But the reason why he's like this is because he came from Destiny's audience. And if you come from Destiny's audience, you take away a lot of talking points that he has before like fully committing to the retarded lefty ideology. So there was this meme back then that all Vash does is he just he just copies and pastes Destiny's opinions for himself, which is unironically true.
Spent the last 20 months distributing hundreds of photos and videos.
He has bad takes on Ukraine, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I think what he said on Ukraine so far has always been pretty damn base, actually, for a lefty. But the thing is like, on everything else, it's just retarded.
Videos of dead Palestinian children. The main effect of this has been to create a population of people in a constant state of blood-boiling rage with no consequential political outlet. Palestinians share photos and videos. The Western left isn't in Gaza. The Palestinians take those videos and share them online because they don't want their suffering to be invisible. It's not really the left that's creating that media. It's Israel's creating, I suppose, the subject of the media, but Palestinians are the ones documenting it. I don't understand this point. I fear this may be worse than useless. Anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism are conceptually not the same.
Vash, don't you ever say I fear ever again, okay? It reminds me of a bad person. I'm kidding.
And conflating them is dangerous, but in practice, the way Israel is perceived does seep out into attitudes about Jews in general. I don't think Jews who feel isolated and wary in the current atmosphere are simply hysterical or hallucinating. Kind of a non-statement. As previously mentioned, there are anti-Semites who opportunistically take advantage of the anti-Israel, anti-Zionist protests.
That's question. Does he position himself between Destiny and Hassan, though? Or is he... I don't think he deliberately states it, but I think he does. I think Vash does position himself between Destiny and Hassan on purpose. I think he does position himself as that, but he wouldn't explicitly say it. For the record, there's nothing wrong with that. He's just a retard. You know, he just makes his money based off of being a retard, which is fine, I guess. But you know, this guy probably owns at least like $10 million. Who the fuck knows?
But what does that mean? Like, the conflation of anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism is the policy of Zionists. Like, their goal is to do that. How do you turn this into an anti-left argument? Like, if you're so concerned about the conflation of these two ideas, why is every Zionist constantly screaming it from the rooftops? I would love it if they would stop. I don't think to be honest with you, I don't think Zionism in its current form has much to do with Judaism at all. The underlying project is, of course, based in the, Jewish homeland, Middle East, so on and so forth. But as a political project, the way it manifests, it seems to be largely like a corporate and American Christian evangelical effort, where Jews are weaponized to further or the identity of Jewish people and their needs or perceived needs are weaponized by oftentimes anti-Semitic right-wingers in an effort to promote certain cultural or economic causes, Like, it's not exactly a secret that AIPAC and the ADL and other groups aligned with Zionism are usually used as bludgeons against the left, right? Yes, there's communal trauma and hypervigilance. Yes, there's disingenuous right-wing ghouls dismissing and censoring all criticism of Israel on the pretext of fighting anti-Semitism. Wait, that's not disingenuous right-wing ghouls. That's the entire Zionist establishment. Literally, like, that is the playbook. It's not just the disingenuous right-wing ghouls. That's the entire, from Democrats, Republicans, that's the main strategy. Look at what they did to Mamdani. That's in no way like a niche strategy. There's also a valid fear of historical anti-Semitic patterns recurring, and
May see you guys in Discord later. Okay, see ya, Tatsu.
that fear gives power to the right-wing Zionist claim that only Israel can keep Jews safe. Yeah, that's why Israel does this. Israel makes itself hateable on an international and local stage and conflates Judaism and Zionism, and then does horrible things in the name of Judaism, allegedly in the name of Judaism. They do it for Zionism, and that does attract international condemnation, which they then use to fearmonger to further legitimize their project. But all of this is the strategy of the right. Why are we pretending?
Holy fuck, this is such a good crossbow. Dude. What the... Yo, this crossbow is monstrous. What? Holy shit. 43% increased physical damage? 20... Oh.
Yeah, true.
My god.
Oh my goodness.
Foodshops, chill out. Thank you so much for the one gifted membership, Misaki. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. Thank you.
That the left is doing this. Like, this entire essay post is pointing out things Zionists do, but then she turns around and says, oh my god, it's like the FD signifier video. I'm getting flashbacks. They don't want solutions. They don't want to stop the genocide. They just want to endlessly critique the genocide. Oh god. I'm being sent back. Does this mean Israel should not be criticized and sanctioned? Absolutely not. But it's something I don't want to risk contributing to if not outweighed by tangible benefits. So I approach the issue cautiously. But there
essentially, Zionism is an American conspiracy.
have been benefits to the widespread left condemnation of Israel.